Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Friday the 13th. I didn't realise that, Henny, when we set this up or talk about it. But I'm not superstitious, so hopefully nothing will let us down tech-wise or anything in the next.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that either.
Yeah.
So that is
Well, we'll worry about that. We almost forgot to go live because we were chatting. So thank you if you are joining us live to watch this. We are now focused on the topic of today, which is part of a whole series of LinkedIn Lives that I've been doing. Thank you if you have watched any of them before. If you haven't, they are all on my LinkedIn profile and you can go back and watch them. There are a few more to come. It's all part of content that dives into some of the topics in my book that is coming out very, very soon. I'm just waiting for the final dates from Amazon when I've got those files uploaded. It's called Planning for Success. There's the title. And it's all about social media, how to write your marketing plan, and ultimately how to make sure that you don't just dive straight into tactics and that you do lots of thinking and planning and consideration first. Now, Henny, thank you for joining me today. We are diving into a topic of websites and their role, because in the book, I pose a question about, is your website ready to convert? Because social media is used massively, which we'll talk about, to drive traffic to websites. And that is a really key question for me. And I've stalled many website projects and social media activity before until those two parts are aligned, because putting effort into one when the other's not ready is just going to be a nightmare. And we can talk about that. And this is also highly topical for anyone following social media trends, because Elon Musk, we have to mention him, big change last week in terms of tweets and link previews and what that means. And, just to kind of put a line on this now, social media platforms obviously do not want you to leave their platforms. And a big way to be leaving their platforms is to include links. But sometimes we do need to include links because that is part of our business objectives and our customer journey and our plans. And I'm going to stop talking about the topic and let you introduce yourself, Henny, before we dive in.
So, hi everyone, I'm Henny. I'm from Pink Elephant Media. We are a web development company with a slight difference in that we really help you think out your strategy for your business against your business goals, and we will guarantee that we'll help you hit them. We'll keep working with you till we do to make sure your website is successful. So that's really us in a nutshell. We run lots of courses here internally, which you're welcome to come along to if you're around the Cirencester area, which is where we're based.
Yeah, both are. And we didn't
Yes.
realise it either till
No.
very recently, just around the corner. This is a live chat, so if you are watching, please do feel free to add comments or questions in the feed. We will keep one eye on that as we dive into talking about websites and links and what that means. So, as I said, Twitter, X, announced the removal of link previews in social media posts, which means we're no longer seeing a headline and preview text. We're just seeing the image, which, as I said, is, we do, it makes sense that the platforms want to keep us there. But if we do want to be moved away, I think let's start with the social media post itself. And you and I were chatting first of, there's part of me that is pleased about this because I think it will stop those clickbaity type social media posts where, people think that they're being clever and trying to get you to move on. And we see that on lots of different platforms, Facebook particularly, dare I say it, with local news platforms, always trying to get you to read, with tweets as well. It is no longer enough just to put a short post and expect people to click through. More value, more detail in the post to drive people to more information, I do think is a good move. I'm not sure that Elon Musk is correct in thinking that we're going to put hundreds of characters into a tweet. That's not what we're used to, and I don't think we need to. I think there's a real balance to be had around using social media posts to drive traffic and what we put in that post itself, and then what the next step is. That's my take on it. What's your thoughts, Henny, on the social media post itself, the links, and how we should focus on that strategically?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that one can do. One of them being your thumbnail that you attach on your web page to the side. So you can really brand that up, really put a good call to action within that thumbnail. So really think about that. as you are posting the link to the page, and what's going to be displayed there can be a really good bit of retail space that you use to put your core message across. I think for us, one of the core things that we see is that businesses get their offer wrong. So the thing that they're leading with is incorrect. We find that customers don't want a solution, they want the solution.
Hmm.
And so it's the quality of the content that is going out. And often that is set at the web stage. It isn't something that comes after, because otherwise the results, everything sort of hangs off that framework. And it's really thinking about the client's wants, needs, um, where they are on their buyer journey. Are they problem aware, solution aware, product aware? All these little things that we need to think about. And when we're putting them in a social post, I think if the value is there and the offer is right around the value, they'll go searching for it.
Yeah.
It's enough to get them over the line. So that would be something that we obviously have a framework that we use here with our clients to help them really frame their offer, so they're not just a solution that's a vanilla solution, they are the solution. And those social posts then should always back that up, so people
Hmm.
want to consume more and more, so then they go and find you.
Yeah, I think it's, this is our world, isn't it? I read something about marketers don't view things in a normal way because we're kind of constantly kind of looking for examples or trying to critique others, perhaps to find, a silver bullet or something. But honestly, the amount of social media posts that I scroll through and it's like, oh, this is about an event, but you haven't told me the date or the time, or if it's free, if it's paid, if it's virtual, where the location is. And sometimes just the headline isn't enough to get me to go through. But if it kind of ticks all my boxes of like, oh, okay, I don't need to travel abroad for this, or it's on a date that I'm free or something like that, I am going to go to that next stage of the journey. So I think it's about getting that balance of intrigue versus enough information to get people to move.
I totally agree. And it's a psychology as well. It
Mm.
for the person, they need to see what transformation it's going to make for them
Yeah.
and their business.
Hmm.
So, if I don't go to this, then what am I missing out on, and what will be the transformation of my time from A to B? So where will I be after I have done this particular process? And for me, that's something that isn't always clear. So
Hmm.
people give away great information,
Yeah.
fantastic stuff that they're producing, but actually that bit isn't necessarily the bit that's clear. And when they come to the web page, it totally mismatches
Yeah.
whatever they were expecting to see. So it's making sure there is that continuity and there is a targeted landing page for that particular post. So when they arrive on it, what they've put out absolutely matches what they're expecting to see, because otherwise you lose them straight away. And it's the post click that really matters, that makes those conversions.
Yeah. So I guess, is there almost like a chicken and egg here? What comes first, getting the website landing page right? I think needs to come first, doesn't it? Because otherwise the social media post is disjointed. And I do know that social media posts can often be that last afterthought of, oh, I've set up all of this stuff. Oh, I need a post.
It's so we would say it's the offer. So I would
Yeah.
say to you is what would work best. So we say to our clients, what would work best? A rubbish business with a absolute killer offer, or amazing business with a rubbish offer.
Yeah.
And the reality is neither really work. You want both. But the one that is the rubbish business with a great offer is the one that will continue to get that traffic. Now, they might have other problems and other things go wrong, but
Yeah.
they will be the one that garners the attention. And all the big titans use this sort of killer offer framework that's all,
Mhm.
so good. Why would you not do it? And I think social media is a great place to get those little micro commitments from people, because no one goes in for the like stellar things straight away, the big ticket item, but they will do micro commitments along those sales funnels. And your social media is a fantastic place to get those little micro commitments from people as you go. But if you don't know what your offer is straight on the front, you're not going to do it. And generally, what you want is, you want to really understand the private conversations that your clients or your target market are having in their head. So obsessive research. You don't get some of the big guys out there, um, doing, Elon Musk is not going to launch a whole product for thinking without obsessively researching his audience. And
You might.
so, well, he might. He's got enough
Yeah.
money behind him. But
Yeah.
generally, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they would have obsessively researched. They know those private conversations, and what you want to do is wrap that round in some guarantee. So it's saying, look, we are different from everyone else, and here's how we do it, because there's really no new business out there.
Yeah.
Everything is one of a similar type. So if we don't get that offer framework right at the concept of the website, it all falls down along asking people to do their social media, their outreach campaigns, all of that stuff just falls completely flat. So we will start with the killer offer. What is
Yeah.
that offer going to be? Obsessively look at your competitors, funnel hack them. So when I talk about funnel hacking, I mean, go and buy from them, see what their
Yeah.
after sales process is like, really understand what your competition are doing, what marketing channels they're using, what they're putting out, and then go and research your customers, the end target audience, and then say to them, right, what are those private conversations, and how can we be different from everybody else out there? That sets a really good framework. So when you're building your website, you can have that right at the top above the fold, which means the first bit that everyone sees when they arrive at your web page, and then have that guarantee underneath it, and then layers of social proof underneath that, really showing, again and again and again, why your product or service is not a solution, it is the solution to what they want. And when you set that up, everything else from the social media and the other stuff becomes really easy, because
Mhm.
you've already set that framework right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I would say that it does sort of start there and in retrospect. And I know that you're amazing and you do that with clients anyway, but I would say most web development agencies don't look at this. And I think
Mhm.
it is one of the most important elements of web development as a whole, because if you haven't got that right, thought about their sales funnels, then you're simply not going to be making those sales.
Yeah. It's the diving straight into what's the homepage going to look like versus the who's going to be looking at it and what are they going to do
What do
it.
they
But
want?
yeah.
It becomes just sort of a stagnant thing that sits there otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things for businesses, they don't just want to know, they need a constant supply of leads. It's the lifeblood of
Mhm.
any business, is to get those leads. And then not getting that bit right means that they're not going to get that, and it makes everything else an uphill struggle. And you kind of need to do that as a company to really understand and get under the skin of your audience, to be able to feed back to your person that's doing your social media, or to feed
Mm.
back to us or whoever else to get those results for you. But
Yeah.
it's really understanding.
And you're right. You talk about obsessive research. That is my favorite thing to do and to spend time on. And if I could just do that all day, social media listening, dashboards, testing out customer service messaging and things like that as well, that is what I would do all day, every day. But also, I do like a balance. The obsessive research, though, it takes time, but it doesn't have to cost money. You don't need loads of sophisticated tools. You can do it with social media and following their accounts and going onto their website. So yes, tools are
100%.
available, but you've
Look at
got
the
to do it.
comments that people are making as
Yeah.
well, that are on the bottom,
Oh,
because that's where they really are telling you what is right and wrong.
yeah.
That's where their private conversations are aired, actually, on social media a lot of the times. And also just asking them,
Yeah.
people will feed back to you as well. Like even doing a survey on social media
Mm,
and asking people to fill it in can
yeah.
also be a great way of finding out. I know when we went out and said, "What do you hate about my industry?" We got tons of replies.
Yeah.
So, and then we were like, right, how do we show that we're
Yeah.
different from that?
Yeah.
So people will feed back because they want something that's different.
Yeah. Yeah. Comments as well. That would be my other ideal day, is just sitting reading comments as well, because there is so much value in that. Who is commenting? What are they saying? How are people responding to it? So that's
Totally agree.
amazing. Um, to go back to your bit about kind of making micro commitments, which again, I love that phrase. That's part of the journey, isn't it? And you've also talked about the offer, but there's not always just like one offer. There's like the end goal where you want to get to, and sometimes the journey and what's going to get there and the stepping stone. So for those that aren't so familiar with customer journey, or perhaps just need a Friday morning reminder, how do you go about it and what's your steps for kind of doing that mapping process as well?
So we will use Canva. There's a whiteboard on Canva that will map
Mm.
out customer journeys. But again, you can get post-it notes. Doesn't have to be something
Yeah.
really exciting. And then really just think about what you're trying to achieve. So what traffic channels, what social media channels are you going to put something out on? Are you going to use other channels? Are you going to do pay-per-click advertising? What does that look like? What landing page are they going to come to? And then what actions do you want them to take? And a sales funnel isn't optional. It's
Hmm.
100% needs to be done. So what we would say with clients is, let's build the first one. Where's the low hanging fruit, or which one
Hmm.
makes you the most amount of money? And then in January we're starting our funnel building workshops, which are just to map out one every month, so
Yeah.
that you start to get it. And then you want to track and trace that information. So when I look at sales funnels, what we want to look at is, where can we make these micro commitments? Because most people don't go in and go, I want to spend £10,000 with someone straight away.
Be
They need
nice.
to get to, it would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
our life a lot
Yeah.
easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it, not only a place to look for where traffic is leaking out of your sales funnel, so where there might be a problem, but it's also a place to get those little tiny micro commitments. So how can I make them say yes? And what can we offer at this point? And what will they be thinking at this
Mhm.
point? And if you've done that obsessive research up front, then you've got a lot of information in which to hang your hat on in this. And so
Yeah.
we'll just get right, what social media channels, stick them up on a wall on post-it notes. Then they're going to come to a landing page. What do they want to see on that landing page? And how should that be structured? And everything that you've put out up front, so on your social media post, needs to be above the fold, and
Yeah.
it needs to be wrapped in some guarantee that is around their fear point. What are they worried about? And can that be a small micro commitment? So it might be download something, it
Yeah.
might be have a no salesy appointment with me, which a lot of
Hmm.
people do get quite scared of,
Yeah.
but they'll still do it if they think the value is there. And it's that post click journey that then we need to look at. So after they've had an appointment with you, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And the great thing is, you can really prescribe those journeys,
Hmm.
really think about the experience that a client is going to have with you and your brand. Think about your branding, the sort of stuff that you're putting out. And then they might do something. So we'll just say, we call them diagonals, but decision diagonals. So we'll have a diagonal sticker that will stick up and go, this is where they make a decision. They either come back to you or they don't. So if they come
Yeah.
back to you, what's next? And if they don't, what's next? And then you can start to map that out. The reason why I like Canva for that is, it's that whiteboard is huge and it can go on and on and on. But once you know what that is, you can then set up tracking and tracing on that, so that at the end you've got great data to look back on and go, that worked, that didn't, or this bit needs changing, or we're not getting the traffic in, or the message isn't clear enough, but you know what to change. And
Yeah.
that is really helpful, because it takes away the guesswork and then just throwing more marketing at it. And if you know it's working, then you can feed that back again into the social media side, because you go,
Yeah.
wow, they really resonated with that email. We should make some posts out of
Awesome.
that.
Yeah.
And so it's that feedback loop again, where you know that things are sort of resonating. You can push it out across everything then.
Yeah. I think this really reinforces, my thinking on this, and again, what I've tried to achieve in the book about making sure you get those marketing fundamentals right. That yes, there is a marketing funnel, and we're taking through people through the stages and mapping your journey, and the content that's required. Social media websites are not just about, oh, let's build it, make something look great, and they will come. You've got to do that and continually review it as well. I'll just take a quick question before we go into our next topic. Um, One of my amazing students that I met a few weeks ago at Aston University has said, if a website is for an NGO, so we're influencing what we're doing in society, do we put it on the main page? So I'm sure you get this all the time around what needs to go on the home page.
So your website should be your homepage on your website needs to contain all your most important messages. So, but it is kind of just like the window to the rest of your site. It is not the place that people come and convert. Generally speaking, it's where they go to get more information and dig in. Those are great. All the pages, what you want your key messages to be. The key message that you might want to promote, however, might not be the thing that is important to your client. And that's where the research comes in. Often we find that we're so close to our own businesses, to
Mhm.
see them objectively is really hard. And you can sometimes meet companies that get caught up in one particular aspect that they think is working. We need to test whether that's really working. And often, when I was working as a consultant before I started this company, I would go in and I'd see the same messages being bound around again and again and again, and they just didn't work. But they
Mhm.
thought that they were working because they felt busier, but actually felt busier wasn't conversions.
Mhm.
So it's really difficult to know what you would put in and what you'd leave out until you've done that research.
Yeah, and that it can always change as well, seasonality and
It will
what's happening in
change.
the world. Yeah,
Always. Yeah. And
yeah,
if you're not constantly changing, really with what's happening, then you're going to stagnate, and that's when businesses begin to decline. And you see that even with the big titans out there.
yeah.
They've got their offer wrong and they start to decline. But there's a reason why people like Casper Mattress and Dollar Shave Club are used as examples everywhere. It's
Mhm.
because their offers are killer offers. They're things that people really want. Who thought that you could sell razors in that way? But you can.
Yeah,
It's just getting it right, isn't it?
yeah. Actually, I should have told you, Henny. I watched one of your videos where you were just putting up loads of home pages and examples, and Dollar Shave Club was one of them, and some others around. This is what they're getting right, and how clear their offer is. So let's pop a link to that video. I don't know if you can remember which one I'm talking about. We'll put it in the chat.
I
We'll find it
can
afterwards.
somewhere.
Yeah,
I do remember doing it,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I was watching you. Let's dive into another topic area, because we could both talk about this all day, as people can probably realise that we've talked about social media posts and the putting value into it. We've talked about websites and customer journey mapping. Data. We're both fans of data, obsessive research, and then data. If we are using social media to drive traffic to a website, we need to know what's happening. Where it's coming from, how long they're staying, all those kind of things. And I'm a big fan of looking at that data, but knowing what I need to know. And I've struggled with that a little bit since July this year. So can you share with us a bit about Google Analytics, GA4, what's happening, and what you would be looking for in that data kind of review process?
What I love about Google is they like launching new things on us without anyone really knowing what's coming down the
Yeah.
line, when it's coming, and then suddenly you'll log in and everything has changed. We did get a bit of data on this beforehand, which was unusual for them,
Yeah.
because sometimes they can make those sweeping changes without telling us. So it has changed. But what I always say about Google Analytics is you can't break it. So having a play around inside of it is a really good idea, and getting to know it really well. Really work out what you want to know. So we talked about
Mhm.
sales funnels earlier. What is that information that we want to know from it? Now, Google Analytics does lots of sort of overview of things. You can track your sales funnels, but if you really want to get down into the nitty gritty and find those nuances, you need to use Google Tag Manager to do that. Now, I would suggest it is one of these topics that is quite nuanced, is using a company. So once you've mapped out your sales funnels, is probably to spend, it's not massively expensive, but to spend a bit of money getting someone to do that tracking and tracing, so that it comes back to you at the end of each month. There are loads of online courses for this
Mhm.
that are totally free of charge for people to do. But what I have found with most people is that they don't want to become a Google Tag Manager expert. And it is a very nuanced area. It is brilliant because it gives
Mhm.
you massive amounts of data from it once you know what you want to know. So what I would really do is do what I said earlier, is to
Mhm.
really think about what is it that I want to learn from this. I always say that marketing is a lots of it won't work.
Yeah.
Even we would both say that. It is, we'll put your best foot forward and done your research, but it can still fall flat. But you can actually look back at that data and go, what did I learn from that? Was it an
Mhm.
emotional message? Was it a factual message? Maybe we should try something a bit different along the same lines. So it's really working out when you're looking at your sales funnels, what are you trying to find out about your client base here? And
Mhm.
once you've sort of understood what that looks like, mapping it out and then having someone give you that detail, mapping out those sort of goals and that sales funnel, so it gives you back that data. Once it's set up for life. And
Yeah.
if it's great offer, great content, often these things can be duplicated for more landing pages. So we would say you always need a dedicated landing page. Your website is your website, that
Yeah.
needs to be there. But when you're doing your marketing and you've got your 90-day goals and you've really thought about what that's going to be, and you're thinking about your social posts that are leading back, you should come back to a landing page. And that landing page can then be duplicated for every 90 days if you're going to
Hmm.
target something different. And those sales funnels can also be duplicated. So really that setup work really only needs to be done once, and then it can be redone again and again and again. So it's quicker and less expensive, but it's worth that level of investment. There are lots of free tools out there, of course, that you
Hmm.
can use, like Pipedrive or your CRM system, that might do something similar, but it doesn't always tell you where that traffic has landed from. So you still need to look at Google Analytics for things like that.
Yeah. There was so much packed into that, Henny. So I'll pick up and say, yes, there are lots of courses, and Google have their own courses in Skillshop, I think it is. And I would highly recommend that any marketer does those courses. As you're right, we don't all want to do this, and we don't all want to spend our time setting this up and being experts. But if you do those courses, I found that it helps you have a better conversation with the person that's going to help you set it up.
100%.
Um,
100%.
and it's about starting with that. I always say, there's a quote, isn't there? Like, start with the end in mind. Don't do all your social media and do all your website and then go, oh, what are we going to measure and what are we going to report on? You need to know that at the very beginning so that you map that into your
It's at
work.
the sales funnel process when you're building that out. Which bits do you want to know? So if you've got a landing page, one of the things you're going to want to know is, where did that traffic come from? How many
Yeah.
people from each social media platform did that go out, or did email marketing or pay-per-click ads? You want to see where that ends up, and then how much of that traffic actually converted into something, so you know where to place your efforts
Yeah.
for next time, or your budgets for next time. So all of that sort of feeds back into that data that you're getting, and the better data we get, the better decisions we make,
Yeah.
about things moving forwards.
And I also say that you measure what matters, because there is so much data available within the social media platforms, within third-party tools, within Google Analytics. You could spend all day creating amazing reports, but if you don't know what matters to your business and what it means and what to do with that information when you have it, that's a whole
So
nother challenge.
what we say for most of our clients, they'd say it's post click. So
Yeah.
how much money did I make?
Yeah.
That's what they want to
Yeah.
know. And I think that, um, where what we say is, just do 3 or 4 things in a quarter.
Yeah.
Those should be your goals max, because
Hmm.
otherwise you're trying to do too much and nothing ever really gets done well. And then have at the so that's 3 landing pages, or that's it running at any one point. And generally it's like, build one up, let it run, build another one up, let it run, and then that data just comes back. Most people are just wanting to know which social channel maybe is working best for them, so they can put a bit more time or a bit more effort into that one over others, or what emails worked, whether they
Hmm.
were sort of special offers or whether they were affiliate offers or something along those lines. And so it's just really working out that element of what's coming in from where, and where should we place our concentration, and
Hmm.
then who's converting. Sometimes I find that if they're coming from social especially, they're some of the most loyal, dedicated
Yeah.
people, because they've probably been following you for quite some time. They haven't just come to you on a whim. They've
Hmm.
probably signed up then from seeing you on social in your email marketing, so then you've got another way of trying to reach them, and they've become quite loyal fans by the time they've actually taken that decision. So you'll often see, when you're looking at their social media, arriving at their page, that those ones really are converting well at that
Hmm.
point.
Yeah. So much to think about, isn't there? We've
I
got one
know.
more question before we finish. If I share my answer first, and then you let me know whether you agree or have a different
Yeah,
take on
yeah.
it. Can we add a LinkedIn insight tag to websites and be compliant with GDPR? So for me, the answer to this is there's actually two parts to that question, and I am not a GDPR legal expert. But yes, I am an advocate of, if you want to track things through, then use LinkedIn Insight tags, use Facebook pixels as well. My take on the GDPR point is, I believe once you've got them to the website, what are you then going to get them to do? Are you filling in forms? Are you dropping cookies, etc., which would then need to be in your website terms and conditions and cookies policy to make sure that it's GDPR compliant?
I think
Is that
you've pretty much nailed
cool?
it. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. And again, we're not. So we always ask our clients to take advice
Mm-hmm.
legally because they are legal documents. They're not something
Yeah.
that we should be advising on.
Yeah.
So they sort of cut and paste off someone else's site can get people into trouble. So I generally stay out of answering questions
Yeah.
on this sort of thing because of that
Yes.
reason.
Yeah. But LinkedIn Insight tags and Facebook pixels are going to help you track as much as you can through to
100%.
your website.
Yeah.
Yeah, so use those things. Yeah, Jill, cookie policies. Thank you, Jill. Good to see you. We both know Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Henny, thank you. It's been amazing to reconnect with you recently, and you are just down the road, so I will be dropping in because you have great coffee and lovely conversation we had before we started this. So a huge thank you for joining me on this session. For those watching, please do connect with us both. Do follow up. I've got more LinkedIn Lives coming, more book news coming. Thank you, and I hope the rest of everyone's Friday the 13th is okay.